the NYSE to break it down. Bob.
There's lots of excitement around digital currencies recently, and Coinbase is in the middle of it all. Coinbase runs the largest exchange for digital currencies. Users can purchase Bitcoins, Ether, and now Litecoin from Coinbase through a digital wallet available on Android and iPhone, or through trading with other users on the company's GDAX subsidiary. They have 13 million users in 33 countries and are growing. The Bitcoin Future Stories has been a big help. They gained roughly 100,000 new users the day after the CME announced they were going to launch Bitcoin Futures. In August, they completed a 100 million Series D funding, raising a total of 217 million since 2012. Investors include Andreessen Horowitz, USAA, and here, the New York Stock Exchange. Coinbase is known for its low fees, only 0.25% if you are a taker, as well as its wide variety of deposit and withdrawal options and its insurance. All digital currency that Coinbase holds online is fully insured. This means that if Coinbase were to suffer a breach of its online storage, the insurance policy would pay out to cover any customer funds lost as a result. But there's been complaints, most notably about being unable to access money when promised, or difficulties with managing the wallet account, as well as forcible account closures for those who violate rules on spending their coins. Coinbase, for their part, says they're working to reduce the problems. Back to you, Melissa.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Bob Pisani at the NYSE. Well, for more on just how big the crypto craze could get, let's bring in the president and COO of Coinbase himself, Asif Hirji, in his first televised interview since taking that role. Asif, welcome to Fast Money. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Melissa, for inviting me to the show.
Let's talk about the astronomical growth in the number of accounts that Coinbase has. Who are these new accounts, and what is the average size of these accounts?
So we have been seeing a lot of account growth, as has been reported. Our trade volumes are up about 30 times over the course of this year, and we've had days where we've opened, tens of thousands of accounts. There were even days when we were the #1 app in the App Store, which is a little surprising. It's I think consistent with the asset class maturing and becoming more mainstream. These are the same types of people that you would imagine would have trading accounts at brokerages and want to invest in cryptocurrency. And we're delighted that they have chosen to open their accounts at Coinbase and have us as their provider.
Your background is from retail equity trading platform, TD Ameritrade, and I'm curious if you see an overlap or a competition for these active traders. Are these the same guys trading actively on the equity side of the business, or are they, is Coinbase, is cryptocurrency, is that sort of pulling them away from the other trades?
Look, I think it's a bit of both. I think there have been a lot of people who've been trading cryptocurrencies for a long time, and they wouldn't have been the same people who were necessarily trading equities. And now, as the asset class has matured, I think you're seeing a lot of people who are adding it, just like any other asset class, to their overall portfolio.
I want to talk to you about things that are coming up, so to speak, Asif, because we have a lot of Twitter followers who are avid cryptocurrency fans out there, and they've got two burning questions for you. And I'm going to start off with the first one, and that is, when are the new coins coming, and what will they be? Do you have targets in terms of when you will have new coins on the platform?
So we have published, I think you had Catherine Hahn, one of our board members, on the show, or on Squawk earlier. And she may have mentioned that we have got and published a digital asset framework which outlines the criteria we look at for any particular asset before we choose to list it. We take that criteria very seriously. We do everything, including a deep engineering survey of the asset. You need to pass those exams before we will even consider listing the asset. Now, I can't talk about any asset that we're considering, or even, in fact, if we are considering any assets, that would be material non-public information. But suffice to say that we have a framework out there, and we have a lot of interest in new assets being put on our platform. A lot of people are campaigning for that. But it'll be an orderly process by which, if you meet the criteria, then there's every indication that you may at some point be listed on our exchange.
Would you expect that at least one more cryptocurrency will be listed by, say, mid next year?
I can't comment on that. There'll be a lot of speculation. I think you should expect over time that there'll be more and more assets listed.
All right. The second most popular question that I'm getting for you, Asif, is when is Segwit, or segregated witness, going to be implemented on Coinbase?
So we've looked at that. It's one of the things we are working on. I think Brian, our founder, made a comment last week on it. We are looking to implement it, but we cannot commit to a specific time frame.
Hi, sir. It's Brian Kelly. So I'm curious on the framework that you have for these currencies. Yep. Could we look at the ones that you've listed already, and would it be safe to assume that anything that kind of looks like that, and what I'm getting at is Bitcoin Cash, would be ready to be listed on your platform, because Bitcoin Cash is effectively Bitcoin? I mean, I mean that in the development way. People in the world will get mad at me if I call it the same thing.
No, I understand. I think at 100,000 feet, that's probably directionally accurate.
At 100,000 feet, it's directionally accurate. Okay.
Yeah. So the types. Yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be vague. We have listed a series of assets. We have a digital asset framework. I think if you looked at the assets we've listed and you look at the framework, people can for themselves decide which assets are more likely than not to be listed.
Asif, so obviously the Bitcoin futures launch last week was pretty successful. Yep. Do you guys expect to trade futures? Do you expect options when they're listed on cryptocurrencies is something that you will have the capability for Coinbase users to trade?
So great question. I think the advent of futures is a great step in the maturation of the asset class. It's a good thing. I think that in the same way that you've in equities or any other asset class, you've seen the advent of the underlying being traded and then the advent of futures and options being traded, the same thing will happen here. I do worry personally about the design of the futures, both of them that are out there. I think given their design, there's specifically some significant problems that they may cause. I think the risk management tools we have are going to struggle with the volatility and especially the settlement mechanisms around both of them. Personally, I think it would have been better to either have built a physically settled future because that creates more stability and predictability, or a financially settled future against what is the largest, deepest, most reliable market data around it, which would be ours. Now, having said that, the futures that are out there both rely on our market data indirectly and directly for some of the settlement. They're doing that without our permission. And so we have gently reminded them of that, and we're in discussions about how they should obtain permission from us to use our data appropriately.
Should we expect a Coinbase IPO anytime soon, or for a big exchange to buy you guys? It would be a logical fit. Look, so I can't comment on any M&A, right? But I think we would be quite expensive for any exchange to look at. That being said, it is certainly in the interests of our investors. Andreessen Horowitz and others who've invested in us, they look to get a return. And I think the most obvious path for Coinbase is to go public at some point. I think there's a lot for us to do between now and then, whenever that date is. And the number one focus that we have right now is to continue to deliver on our promise of being the easiest and most trusted service in which to trade these assets. Asif, do you own any cryptocurrencies? Do you trade them? Do you get paid in cryptocurrency?
I have the option of being paid in cryptocurrencies. I have been a trader of cryptocurrencies for some time. I do own cryptocurrencies and have done so prior to taking the role with Coinbase. So I've been a fan.
Which one?
I own both Bitcoin. I've owned Bitcoin for a long time, and I own Ethereum as well.
Okay. Asif, a pleasure speaking to you. Hope you'll come back to Fast Money soon.
Thank you very much, Melissa, for having me on the show.
Asif Hirji of Coinbase. Fascinating business.
Well, fascinating business, a business with still a ton of margin in it, and still they are at least one of the easiest ways to get in. Not so easy to get out, so it seems, at least the size of the transactions, or at least the amount you can do and then put to work. But clearly, I think these guys deserve a lot of credit, first of all, for being the most user-friendly, and they're criticized, actually, because support is difficult, but they're a victim of their own success, frankly. I mean, there are so many people logging in on a retail basis. I think that's one of the criticisms they face.
And Tim and I also often talk a lot about the model of being in the gold rush, selling the Levi's jeans, selling the pickaxes, right? And these guys are right in the heart of it. I mean, what an incredible business to be in.
in terms of the next coin to be listed, I would imagine that would be a huge trade. Once you put a coin up there and you get all those accounts trading that coin, that's huge.
That's very big, and that's why I asked the question, because I mean everybody wants to know that, right?
Did you come away thinking it was going to be Bitcoin Cash?
I probably more than I did at the beginning of the show after that question. I mean, and again, it could be another fork of Bitcoin. It could be something like Zcash, which is a fork of Bitcoin and would likely fit some of those rules. But that one just seems like the most obvious one. That is also what everybody kind of wants to know in the community. So maybe I did a community service.
Well, as cryptocurrencies get more and more popular, we couldn't help but notice that a lot of these coins have very exotic sounding names. So exotic, in fact, that they sound named like names you'd give a wildcat at a zoo, for instance. So it's time to play cryptocurrency or cat.
We used to play a game like this with pandas, by the way.
And IPOs.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will read out a name, and the traders here will see if they can guess whether it belongs to a real cryptocurrency or a wild cat. You'll be shocked at these names. Komodo, cryptocurrency or cat? Komodo. Tim.
It's a dragon. That is absolutely feline. I'm not falling for this. That's a cat.
It's a cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Right.
Cryptocurrency, Komodo. Next contestant.
Right.
Kitai, crypto or cat? Kitai.
Kitai. Can you use it in a sentence? All right. Not familiar with that one, but I'm going to go with. I'm not familiar with that one, but I'll go with cryptocurrency.
Wrong. It's actually the name given to a snow leopard cub who was born in June in Berlin.
That's so cute.
Kitai. All right, here's the next one. BK doesn't play.
I don't get to play?
No, you do not get to play.
He's a Jedi master.
But I'll let Dan play, even though he's also good at crypto. Drogon, crypto or cat?
Definitely
Drogon.
crypto.
Definitely cat.
Are you thinking of
Definitely
Dogecoin?
Cat.
Dogecoin.
The name of one of the black-footed cats at the Philadelphia Zoo. And this one's a really tricky one.
All right.
Pura. Crypto or cat?
Gotta be crypto, just because now we're going to even the score. Pura.
It's a crypto.
Thank you.
Redemption at the end.
At least I'm
So
batting
I
500.
guarantee you there's a developer out there right now creating Dogon coin or whatever it was, Drogon coin and Kitai coin.
Yeah, exactly.
I guarantee you those are going to be out tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
Still ahead. Check out Oracle. Tanking after hours. The stock is down nearly 7%. We'll tell you what as investors hitting this.